We got the budget resolution passed. This is very, very important because that will ensure that border security and immigration enforcement will continue today and well into the future.
America, Democrats held 260,000 federal workers hostage for 76 days straight, the longest agency shutdown this country has ever seen. All of it, every single day, all to stop ICE from doing their job. But here's the part the victory headlines are quietly skipping over right now. The bill Trump just signed has $0 for ICE and Border Patrol. Not a cut, not a reduction, zero, written into law on purpose. So before anybody takes a victory lap, let's talk about what actually happened here and what's coming down that nobody is warning you about.
The longest federal department shutdown in U.S. history is now over.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. February 14, 2026, Valentine's Day, the Department of Homeland Security, they ran out of money. Democrats in the Senate made it clear that they would not fund unless Republicans agree to gut ICE and Border Patrol. Not tweak them a little bit, completely gut them. Body cameras on every agent, no more masks in the field, and warrants required before immigration enforcement could make a single move. Republicans said no, Democrats said fine, then nobody gets paid. And for 76 days, that is exactly how it all played out. 260,000 DHS workers, TSA agents showing up to airports not knowing if they had a paycheck coming, Coast Guard crews running open water missions, FEMA workers ready for the next disaster, all of them caught in the middle of this political fight over immigration. Watch what happened to the Coast Guard specifically, because this one might bother you a little bit.
Coast Guard Commandant Kevin Lundy told CBS News in an exclusive interview that the Coast Guard owes over $300 million in unpaid obligations, with thousands of utility bills overdue, totaling $5.2 million. Duty stations and military housing situations were in flux worldwide.
The Coast Guard doesn't enforce immigration law. They rescue people at sea, and they were drowning in bills over a fight that had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with them. The Coast Guard is the only branch of the U.S. military not under the Department of War. They don't run ICE raids. They pull people out of hurricanes and off of sinking boats. Democrats' political game left them $300 million behind, including the power keeping their base lit up worldwide. Now zoom out from military bases to the neighborhoods that those workers live in.
When you take a protracted government shutdown and you thrust it upon our area, you have how many people who've gone without paychecks?
People maxed out their credit cards. A signature doesn't clear out any debt like that. North Virginia, Maryland, communities built around federal paychecks, appliance stores bleeding, restaurants down, families on credit cards that now have to carry balances that they didn't have in January. This doesn't disappear like automatically, like bewitched the second that Trump picks up the pen. That is real damage to real people, permanent damage for some of those families in some situations. Here's what I need you to understand about how the shutdown started, because it wasn't a random breakdown. In January 2026, during ICE operations in Minneapolis, federal immigration agents shot two Americans, not at the same time in separate situations. Their names were Renee Good and Alex Preddy. That was a serious situation, and it blew up nationally. Democrats grabbed on that story and made it their entire justification for the whole shutdown. ICE is shooting citizens. This is what they said. They're not giving them a dollar until they change how they operate. That was the Democrat argument here. That's how you get 76 days. You take a real incident like that, wrap it around political demand, and use it to defund agencies that you've essentially always defunded anyways. That is the Democratic playbook here. And Speaker Mike Johnson obviously wasn't going along with it. He shot down the original Senate deal super hard. Watch him explain exactly why.
It literally was drafted in the middle of the night. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning when they came up with the final language, and it was haphazardly drafted. And what it would do is, of course, orphan and leave out immigration enforcement and Border Patrol.
So the bill came in at 2 a.m, slapped together, and if Johnson had accepted it the first week, ICE and Border Patrol would have been permanently orphaned by DHS funding with no particular replacement plan. He sent it back. Senate passed another version April 2nd. Johnson still said no. Something obviously had to break up the stalemate. This is what happened.
Number one, the White House put some renewed pressure on House Republicans to pass this bill. And number two, the House and Senate both did take concrete steps to set up a process that is going to enable them to fund ICE and Border Patrol through reconciliation.
And the price Johnson demanded before saying yes to any of this was a filibuster-proof path to fund ICE separately. Trump had to pick up the phone and push on Speaker Mike Johnson. That's obviously what it took here. And Johnson's conditions before he accepted the bill with zero ICE money was written, voted on guarantee that ICE would get funded through a completely separate process, one that Democrats couldn't stop here. That process, something that we covered in another video, is called budget reconciliation. And my friends, that's the part of the story that actually matters. Now, guys, I get it. Most people don't even know how Congress actually works on spending bills. So let me break it down really quick, fast and plain here. Normally in the Senate, you need 60 votes to pass anything really big. Democrats can use what's called a filibuster. Basically, they can keep talking and stalling until the bill dies without ever getting a vote. It's how the minority party blocks the majority here. Budget reconciliation skips all of that. You only need 51 votes, simple majority. Democrats, they can't filibuster it. Republicans used that exact same move last year to pass Trump's tax cuts. Now they're using it to fund ICE and Border Patrol for 3 straight years, all through the end of Trump's term in January 2029.
If it passes the House, ICE and Border Patrol would be funded for more than 3 years.
Democrats could win the midterms in November 2026 and still be completely unable to defund ICE. The money is already locked in. 3 years, even if Democrats flip the Senate in the 2026 midterms, which they're trying to do, they cannot touch the funding. It's already in law. That is real leverage Republicans walked away with when they agreed to this deal. But the man standing between the win and it falling apart said something this week that every Republican voter needs to hear.
If we fail as Republicans to get money for the border and ICE, it will hurt us in the midterms. You should be upset with us. And I'm the budget chairman. Failure's not an option.
Graham is the Senate budget chairman. He controls whether the bill gets out of committee. And he's telling you out loud, this is as much about November 2026 as it is border security. Graham isn't doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing it because he knows if he blows the $70 billion bill, Republicans would walk into the midterms having spent 76 days shutting down the Coast Guard and came out with nothing to show for it. That is a gift to every Democrat running on immigration in 2026. The deadline Trump set is June 1st. That is 31 days from when he signed. Committees have to write the legislation. Both chambers vote, and there's already one senator on record voting no. Rand Paul over the deficit. Here is the honest scoreboard here. Both sides are going to tell you that they won, and both of them have a case. Democrats got a sign law with $0 for ICE. No reforms required. They got exactly what they demanded written into the bill. Then they can go back to their base and say that they held the line for 76 days and didn't fund an agency that shot protesters in Minnesota. That is obviously a real talking point for them, and that is a real win for what they're trying to accomplish politically.
Democrats and Republicans, they really did try to come to an agreement initially before all of this on some reforms to ICE and to immigration. They weren't able to come to an agreement. But we did see some significant changes in the way the administration is conducting its immigration operations, from ousting Kristi Noem, who was leading DHS, to agreeing to more body-worn camera funding for body-worn cameras for these ICE agents who are out in the field.
The real shift here isn't the signed bill. It's that Republicans stopped negotiating with Democrats on ICE completely here. That is a bigger change than what actually got signed. Notice what moved here, guys. Republicans are done dealing with Democrats on immigration enforcement, not reduced to deal making, done. No reforms, no concessions, no Democratic input on how ICE operates moving forward. If the $70 billion passes, Democrats burned 76 days, gutting the Coast Guard budget, wrecking local economies, and got a political talking point that expires the second ICE gets funded through reconciliation. But there is one more piece to this that nobody is talking about loudly enough.
This is coming back to us September 30th. This is a short-term thing, but the current gridlock and toxicity in Congress means this is a semi-regular thing.
Another shutdown fight is already on the calendar. September 30th. Same people, same playbook. Guys, put it in your phone right now. That's when the current government funding deal runs out. 5 months. The exact same group of politicians who just ran the longest DHS shutdown in American history gets another crack at it. They get another at bat. And as that reporter laid out, the long-term damage isn't just missing paychecks. It is the pipeline of people who look at federal government work and decide it's not worth the instability anymore. The damage compounds every single cycle.
This will relieve pressure from the Department of Homeland Security. Secretary Mullen, who I've spoken to in the last couple of hours, will be greatly relieved. The president will, the administration will. We were not going to have lines at TSA. Everybody will get their paychecks now. We'll get moving forward.
Moving forward for Johnson means a $70 billion bill he has 31 days to pass. That, my friends, is not a celebration. That's the starting gun. The Senate votes, the House votes, Trump signs by June 1st. If that happens, Democrats spent 76 days destroying livelihoods and ending up with nothing that will absolutely stick to the wall. If it doesn't happen, Democrats prove that shutting down the government actually works. And they'll do it again next time, maybe even harder. America, here's what 76 days actually prove. Democrats will torch the entire agency, leave the Coast Guard underwater in bills, and send 260,000 workers into a financial freefall, gut businesses in 4 states to score 1 immigration point. Not a law change, not a real reform, a talking point. And you best believe that they'll absolutely do it again in September. Republicans locked in the votes to fund ICE for 3 years through a path that Democrats can't filibuster. That is absolutely real and very significant, but a vote on the process is not a finished bill. Johnson has 31 days. Graham has a committee to run, and one wrong vote turns this whole thing into the biggest Republican fumble of the Trump era. The shutdown is over, but the fight is not. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comments section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.